one more match left. It's going to be SC Foyu versus Maka Prime. We, also known as Traffic recently, and I'll tell you guys why. A lot of people would call him Traffic on the on TL because he was able to beat Noblesse, and he was able to beat him by Noblesse not showing up. So it really wasn't him beating him; it was a walkover. So a lot of people were insinuating that Noblesse got stuck in Traffic, and then Maka actually controlled everything, and he was manipulating things behind the scene. Maka's like the puppeteer Terran. He's actually controlling everything. He's like a gangster. He like lives on the top of a big penthouse inside of Seoul, and he like actually controls the entire city. And he's like, oh, Noblesse might beat me, so I think I'm just gonna make all these stoplights go like this. I'm gonna cancel some subway trains, just get him to get a walkover. In all seriousness, though, I'm sure Noblesse had something else important going on and couldn't make it, or some sort of scheduling conflict. I have no idea. I wasn't told, so I don't know. But Maka recently hasn't been doing as well as he has in the past, so this is a really good proving ground for him here. He's not in Code A. He was been in the GSL for so long, and then to not even be in Code A now, it's like shows how far he's fallen. So we're going to take a look at those players now. There's SC Foyu. I actually am like a hipster nerd for SC Foyu. I liked him since he first made his appearance. I knew he had a lot of potential, and he really has shown it here. He's made it to Code A semifinals. He made it to the round of 8 in Code S in March, and then for Code S last season, he made it all the way to the semifinals. Did get taken out by Nesty. He's currently a Code S player, of course. Did take out Hyperdub on his way here through the round of 64. An easy 2-0 for him. He actually crushed Hyperdub like it was nothing. Just out-macroed him, outplayed him. There he is now in his blue Foyu jacket. Foyu team's jackets are so cool. They have so many colors. I don't know what they mean. One day I'll ask. All right, our other player. There he is. He is Maka Prime. As you can see, he made it to, he got knocked down to Code A because his first season of Code S, he didn't advance past the first round. And then in Code A in March, he didn't advance past the first round either. Didn't even make it to Code AMA, didn't qualify. So he's currently in Code B. Now, it shows with Bomb versus Noblesse win. It doesn't say 2-0 or anything like that because, like I said, it was a walkover win. So he hasn't really shown us anything yet here in the Super Tournament. There's a shot of him now. Maka has been known to sing, actually, occasionally. He's actually one of the friendliest guys ever, and he's got really good English as well. And interestingly enough, Marine King and Shoya Foyu are sitting like right in front of me, watching. And they're both, of course, on the opposite teams, Marine King on Prime and Shoya on Foyu. So they're sitting next to each other watching the game, so that's kind of cool. All right, so as you can see, SC's win rate versus Terran recently, 76.9% wins, 10 wins and 3 losses. That's a pretty incredible ratio, basically. He took out Hyperdub. He lost to MMA, beat Alive, just listing a few of those games down there. Now, Maka, on the other hand, recently has not been doing very well against Terran. Well, comparatively, he's gone 3-3. Did beat Rainbow recently, but Rainbow has been through almost as bad of a slump as Maka has, to be honest. So we'll see, though, how Maka does here. I'm actually really excited because I think he's been practicing. He's been playing with, of course, some of the best Terrans in the world. He plays with Marine King, so he's got to have a pretty awesome style. He also plays with Polt. Maka and Polt actually have really similar styles. I feel like Polt is the more refined version of Maka, though. Now, the maps are going to be Set 1 on Terminus Re. Set 2 will be on Metalopolis, and Set 3 will be on Crevasse. SC eliminated Belcher Beach as a map. It's like the most eliminated map ever. And Zelnaga Fortress has been eliminated for Maka, so the countdown has started. These guys look intense. Actually, Maka not looking intense at all. He looks ready. SC looks very focused, though. It's going to be game 1 here on Terminus Re. Who's going to take it? Will it be SC Foyu or will it be Maka? We'll find out in just a moment. Just a moment. Any moment now. All right. Here we go at the GSL.
SC Foyu versus Maka Prime Week.
All right. In the red, we have a player on the team Foyu. A lot of his teammates here to cheer him on. great Terran versus Terran player, has great results overall. He is
SC for you.
Got a cool hairstyle. I like his hairstyle. Just thought I'd tell you guys that. Oh, some Korean fans in the audience showing their Korean flag, but not showing their faces. All right, down here at the right side of the map, we've got a yellow Terran player on the Team Prime. I almost botched my intro again. Came here through a walkover. Can he show something different?
Maka Prime win.
Well, he certainly will show us something different than a walkover today because he is here. His opponent is here. He looks actually so focused. Maka is up, or maybe it means it was supposed to say underpowered. I don't know if that was like a good thing for Maka or if it was trying to say that he was underpowered. Not entirely sure about that sign. But Maka looks like he did go for a gas for actually. Let me take a look at both of these gases. These things happen during the intro. Sometimes I'm doing both things at once. Both players look like they went for gas first. So very early factories for both of these players. And oftentimes, when this happens where both players go for fast gas, you get really funky situations. You got one guy going Cloak Badgers, the other guy going Blue Flame Hellions. They're both really fast. Neither player really has that many units to defend. So, you know, if you're like really investing in Blue Flame Hellions, you've got like 4 or 5 Marines back at home and their opponent comes in with Cloak Badgers, you're kind of in trouble. But on the other hand, your Pre-Igniter Hellions come in, he doesn't really have siege tanks. It's like, uh-oh. So sometimes we can have some funky situations with that. Both players getting their factories up here. Actually, Maka hiding his factory a little bit more. I like that. Maka did go up there, and actually, did he see anything at all? No, he didn't. And actually, okay, let me explain what Maka just did. He went up the ramp, and he expected there to be a Marine there because he thought, okay, by the time I get here, you'll have a Marine out to block my scouting SCV, and since I didn't see an SCV, I think that you're not at this base. But as it turned out, since his opponent went gas first, there was no Marine there, so now Maka's going to get a little bit confused. As you can see, he's just going and checking for that scouting Marine, or scout deny Marine, whatever you want to call it. The Marine of scout denial. So yeah, Maka going to go scout the lower position now. He has no idea what his opponent is up to. Unfortunately, not able to get in there and see that gas timing. That's why you should always go as far into your opponent's base as you can. I mean, at least as much as it's reasonable. Go as far in as you could to see the command center. Now, several Marines moving out here for Maka. There is a Hellion out for SC. Looks like he is making a tech lab. It could be it looks like it's most likely going to be for Banshees. So both these players look they are going to be going for Banshees. Cloak or not, we'll find out here pretty soon.
Add-on complete.
So when you go Banshees and your opponent goes Banshees, it's really a test of will. How much micro do you have? And look at this. SC trying to scout around, see what he can. A lot of this comes down to how much multitasking do you have. You've got a Banshee in your opponent's base, so you're trying to micro that to kill his Marines, and then he's got a Banshee in your base, so you've got to micro your Marines and your SCVs to deal with that Banshee. It does become kind of a funny and silly situation. I like SC bringing this Hellion around, checking for whatever he can find, trying to find scouting SCVs, trying to find Marines that are out, and look at that. Maka adding a tech lab on his factory, adding a second refinery. I actually don't think he's going to get Cloak. I think he's just going to stick with the Banshee Harass a little bit rather than researching that Cloak. Now remember, Maka is a little bit out of the loop where his opponent is. He's sending his Banshee down to the south. He doesn't really know where his opponent is exactly, though, so that's really going to hurt him here. He's just kind of checking around, but like I said, he doesn't really know because he didn't scout properly with his first SCV. So he's going to go in there and he's like... the Korean commentators are like, 3, 2, 1. He's not there. Very true. He's not there. Now, SC has positioned some Marines back in his mineral line to defend against this Banshee, but that Banshee's not going to be coming for a while. Meanwhile, though, here comes SC's Banshee. He does have Cloak. Maka does have enough for one scan. He wants to use that perfectly. He does have a Viking. He wants to kill the Banshee, though, not just hurt it and chase it away. And scans. Banshee does not live to see another day. Now Maka's Banshee is still out hunting. Can't find his opponent's base quite yet. Now he knows where it is. He just doesn't know exactly what it is that's going to be there when he gets there. Now he's found it. Try his best. Now this is what's the crucial thing about Banshees is you can out-micro Marines for basically forever if you have good control, and that is some good control by Maka Prime. If he doesn't have Stim or... Whoa! Another Banshee taken out there. But anyway, as I was saying, if you don't have Stim or Vikings, it's very difficult to deal with Banshees. And SC actually just continuing to make Banshees rather than making Vikings, so it's going to make it so that Maka can get a lot of kills with his own Banshee. Pre-Igniter is actually on the way, so it's interesting to see Pre-Igniter as a follow-up to Cloak Banshee. You usually see Pre-Igniter and then Cloak Banshees to follow that up. SC going to continue forward here. Now, Maka doesn't have a lot of units back at his base. He's got 4 Marines and a Viking. He just wants to pick those Marines off, so maybe do a timing push and wants to force as many scans as he can. Right now, supply-wise, the players are pretty close. And I think a lot of that is SC lost a lot of units to Maka's Banshee. So without that good control from Maka, SC would actually be incredibly ahead. He's just done so much more with his Banshees. Now, Pre-Igniter Hellions, the research is done. I'm trying to find the Hellions out on my map. There's 3 of them somewhere. Oh, they're actually in the middle of the map at the Zelnaga Watchtower. So he's going to try to pick those up with a dropship, I think. And Maka is getting shut down at every turn with this Banshee. Now the Viking is out. And you basically just can't. Oh, nice Viking defense, though, for the Banshee. Maka wanted to keep that Banshee alive. Maybe it's his girlfriend. Maybe. Can't assume that. Alright, so SC back at home is going to do a little switcheroo. Going to probably, switch. He's switching his starport and his barracks so he can actually get reactored medevacs or Vikings out, whichever he chooses, and start researching Stim at that tech lab. You guys will maybe get a shot of it in a second. Now, here's that drop I was talking about. He did leave those Hellions in the middle map to get picked up. Now, back at Maka's base, he's got 3 siege tanks, but they're at the natural rather than at the main base. So this drop is actually going to do a significant amount of damage. And here it comes. We'll get a shot of it in a second after the Banshee dies. Here comes the Hellions! Not the best dropship control, but a lot of SCVs going down. Nice control, though, by Maka. Not pulling his SCVs, but now he is. Oh, a split second later, and he would have killed so many SCVs. As it is, that's a huge investment by SC that did not go well. Whereas Maka's already taken his natural. He's looking pretty good. Maka's Stim is almost done. Actually, take it back. He's researching combat shields first, which I like, because without medevacs, the longevity of those Marines is much better had with the combat shields rather than trying to use the Stim. He is going to be a little bit aggressive here and try to use that Banshee to pick off Marines, maybe even siege tanks. SC is just now transferring his SCVs to that Commencer, so he's much, much behind as far as that goes. But as far as army sizes go, SC definitely has somewhat of an advantage. Plus the defender's advantage, of course, is really good. So Maka is going to have to turn around. Now, what I'd like to see Maka do at this point is actually take a 3rd command center. Start getting a ton of production facilities out. The map distance is so huge. And there's not a good way in this matchup for your opponent to really punish you. If you take that 3rd command center, if you just kind of leave your army at home, you can deal with drops. You can deal with pushes. As long as you control your units properly, you can take that 3rd base and get ahead. So I'd like to see that. Because once you get that 3rd command center up, you just add so many barracks and you just have this huge supplement for your siege tanks. Marines and Marauders are like, they're like dietary supplements for siege tanks. A lot of siege tanks eat them, that's for sure. But more so, they're a good thing because they buffer a lot of siege tank damage. That's a better word than supplement. Buffer. Wolf, you silly commentator. Use some not the best analogies, not the best words. Botching intros. Here all by yourself. You don't have any friends, Wolf. Why don't you have any commentators commentating with you? Alright, enough talking to myself. Here comes another attack by Maka. Now he's actually going to siege up here on the edge of the base. Now that's why most players don't actually put their production facilities very close. Nice point defense drone from Maka, so he's going to be able to do a ton of damage to these Vikings. But the point defense drone's out of energy now! Didn't quite use that to its fullest potential. SC wants to keep that tech lab alive because it is researching combat shields. And it looks like he should be able to keep it alive because those tanks aren't really able to hit it very much, but he's going to lose the barracks. Now, I don't actually know if you lose the barracks. Oh, he doesn't lose the barracks. Is he going to lose it? No! He's going to keep that barracks alive. I don't actually know what happens if you lose a barracks when you're researching something at a tech lab. Does it stay there and then you rebuild the barracks, or do you lose it? I'm sure someone will tweet me about it. I don't play Terran anymore. I since switched to Protoss. And yeah, he does lose it. And actually, nope. We're not going to have to find out. via Twitter because that stim upgrade is completely canceled. It makes sense because that Tech Lab no longer has power. There's no barracks attached to it. Now, SC is going to do a little move out of his own to the middle of the map. I'll give you guys some numbers on siege tanks right now. 5 siege tanks for Maka, only 3 for SC. And that's going to be pretty huge here, as well as this point defense drone. This attack going extremely well for Maka. Point defense drone helping out there a lot, but more so his superior siege tank and faster siege up really won him the day there. Now he's got his Banshee forward here with his Viking bodyguards. He may actually be able to pick off some of the siege tanks of SC. SC only has 2 siege tanks here defending his life basically at his natural. But again, it looks like SC is going to siege up, or rather Maka going to siege up at the edge of the production facilities. And SC rebuilt his barracks in the same place. May lose it. That Raven getting a little ahead of himself. Scans wants to kill that barracks. Not getting that, not getting that combat shield upgrade is really going to start to hurt SC as well, because that means Maka's Marines are going to be much stronger than his. They're going to be able to take more siege tank fire when they buffer. Very, very important upgrade to have in this matchup, especially when you're using primarily Marines to buffer for your siege tanks. Right now, 125 supply for Maka. Still hasn't made that third command. Oh, it's not finished. He hasn't moved it over yet. It's just finishing up now in his main. But when that does finish up and when he does move it, he's going to be in a great lead. In fact, he's got such a good position. Uh-oh, speaking of positions, that Marine was in a great position to spot this drop. Maka, what's he going to do? He's actually just going to charge forward. Oh, this is not the right choice, Maka. Not sure if he should be doing this. He's going to lose most of his units, and the dropship is going to do so much damage. Actually, I take it back. He's breaking through the middle quite nicely, but this drop is going to do so much damage, almost as much damage, I think, as Maka is doing at the same time. Maka just has a much larger army, though, so I think he feels like he can afford to do this. He's doing so much damage with those siege tanks at the front, and it looks like his drop was cleaned up as well, because SC didn't control it properly, and this is going to be game-ending. GG. I like that decisiveness from Maka. Both Marine King and Shoya get up from their chairs. They're sitting next to each other. Hope you guys will get a shot of the studio in a second where they're like both just like darted over to their players' booths. We'll be talking to them. You'll see him in a second coming in there. There's Shoya. You watched that game. What happened, buddy? You know, I'm not entirely sure. He kept killing my research on my tech lab. And he just had better position than me. It made more siege tanks. That's what happened. Siege tanks are so important. Even if you have twice as many Marines as your opponent, depending on how many Marines you have, if your opponent has just a few more siege tanks than you, that can swing the favor so much. There's Gerard Prime, the guy you don't recognize in there. He's actually the coach of the Prime team, and of course Marine King, giving him a pat on the back. They're Terran Bison. Maka and Marine King, as you guys know, if you watch those little documentaries, they're actually really good friends. They share a room at the Prime house, so they're really, really close. So you're trying to calm SC down, probably talking to him about his build. Tell me, you know, your Hellions didn't really do that much damage. You had your Command Center out a little bit later than your opponent, and those kind of things led to your demise. You played well, though. That's what I tell him if I were coach. You played well. Just remember these things. Maybe try to play a little bit safer, a little bit more standard next time. Don't go for those Hellions. Those were a really late-game investment. It could have worked out well because Maka actually didn't have that many units to defend, but Hellions can kind of be a grab bag. If they don't work, and you invest a lot of them, you get so behind. Shot of our studio again. So here are the players again. The next map is going to be Metalopolis. Pretty awesome map indeed. I actually haven't watched the TVT on Metalopolis in a long time. Metalopolis, one of the smaller maps to play on at the GSL for TVT. That's a 4-player map. It's like the smallest 4-player map that I can think of that exists in the GSL. So TPT on this map can be quite interesting in how it works out. Now remember, Maka didn't even scout his opponent properly, so he just played a very safe and solid game throughout that entire game last time. And it goes to show that if you play safe, even if you don't know exactly what your opponent's doing, you can do well. Now the countdown has started. The game is loading up here. Who's going to take game 2? Will Maka close out the series, or will SC tie it up 1-1? Let's find out on Metalopolis here at the GSL.